welcome back to the Toon Under podcast, the Carabao Cup winners trophy ending drought podcast. I'm here with Mark from Brisbane. It's been almost a week since our first trophy in both of our lifetimes. So, Mark, how are you going, and how you've been enjoying the last week?
Yeah, it started out really well, and now it's a week later, and we're getting tired of watching all this content online constantly. It's getting boring now. Said no mag ever. It's just been phenomenal. It's like I cannot get enough. I actually posted on social media the other day, I feel sorry for anybody who grew up in a non-social media environment, and won a trophy, because how on earth would you handle just having watched the game, knowing we've won, and not being able to just digest content 24/7 for the next week and a half?
It is. Yeah, we are lucky in this time. I mean, social media obviously has its down things as well, but we can just replay things over and over again. I reckon I've watched moments of the game probably 1,000 times by now, and you just keep rewatching the interviews. They keep getting better and better, even though it's the same interview over and over again. But the beauty of this is you just keep watching, knowing the result's going to be what it is, and
makes all the difference, doesn't
it? It does. And then for a club and for supporters who've not seen any success, let alone a speck of success, we have to soak this up, because look, we obviously hope this is the first of many, and we're going to be winning and enjoying these feelings a lot more. But until then, this is obviously the first, and the first is always going to be the most special one, in my opinion. And who cares if the Carabao Cup? We've got a trophy now, and no one's going to take those memories away, and those videos will be online for forever and a day. So let's make sure we keep watching them, just to make sure that it's
we did actually happen.
Correct, exactly right. It did happen. But obviously there's been a lot of content and a lot of just reminiscing about the last week. I haven't heard from you, Mark, on the show about your experience of the night. Obviously, you were, I think, at the pub watching it with Lee and a few others in Brisbane. Yeah. How do you describe that night, if you recall any of it? And
I was fairly sensible. I was fairly sensible before the game. I was like, we were out during the day, and I was pacing myself on shandies, and we went and had a sleep, and we had some food, and rocked up at the Pig and Whistle in Brisbane about midnight. Clearly late to the party. All the Gold Coast mags had been up since God knows, like 9:30, 10 o'clock or something like that. They had their front seats. They were singing when we got there. Huge support for the night. I cannot praise the Queensland Newcastle supporters highly enough. They're noisy all night. There must have been at least 100 of us there. Smatterings of Liverpool supporters, but usually they were there with the Newcastle fans that they were mates with. We just took over the pub. We had a late license. 2:30 kickoff here in Brisbane. Pub closed at 5. We ended up carrying on celebrations to the casino. I left at about 8 o'clock or something like that. I got my voice back probably Wednesday in some capacity. It was just, it was one of those nights where it was just surreal. Like, as soon as that first goal went in, you could see that everyone was just like, what do we do now? It's like we've scored in a cup final. Like, this is weird, like uncharted territory. So yeah, it was good. I'm so pleased. Even though he ended up going to the toilet for the opening goal, I am pleased for Lee from the pod as well. He rocked up just to have the fellow Newcastle supporters around you to celebrate that kind of event. It was just. I mean, we always make noise. We always do the club proud whenever we get together. But yeah, just for that first cup final win in our lifetimes, it was just something special. I've lost track of how many videos I've watched, how much I've consumed in terms of social media, and just like the match itself. There's videos of fans just enjoying themselves. It seems surreal. Like, it's still, I don't think, is fully sunk in that we've actually won a cup. And I know people have, we've seen on social media, everyone's like from other clubs have tried to sour the taste. They've tried to and the journalists as well. They've tried to bring up the whole sports washing thing. They've tried to say it's only the Mickey Mouse Cup, and it's like, genuinely, I don't care. I'm on cloud 9. We've celebrated a cup win, and it's still absolute tingles. It's absolutely brilliant.
Exactly. I mean, most of those fans have been telling us that it's only a tin pot cup and Carabao and who gives a shit. They're fans of the so-called Big Six clubs and arrogant supporters and don't appreciate what we've been through. And we've been through hell, let's be honest. I mean, could have been worse, but we have been, from comparatively speaking, hell as a supporter base for a very long time under a draconian owner. And it's only when that owner left, we finally started to not to expect or think we're going to win trophies anytime soon, but have that hope back again, because previously we weren't getting past third rounds and fourth rounds of any of these cup competitions. And the fact we've been at Wembley now twice in 3 years is unbelievable. And obviously now we've got our first trophy, and it does feel amazing. I mean, I think when that second goal went in, that was when it hit me that, oh shit, we're actually pretty close to winning here. Yeah, what do we do? And I think everyone around us and collectively, I was watching at CQ in Melbourne with Aussie mags, and there would have been 300, 400, 500 people there. It was the joint was packed. But I think when that second goal went on, everyone, you could just see hands went to everyone's head, thinking, "Oh shit, this could be it. This could be the moment." And obviously, there was still half an hour to go, and obviously the game went ridiculously long in extra time. But I think, that was, for me. I always had hope, and I'm always very positive, as probably everybody knows. I'm a very positive supporter and believe in the team, but when that second goal went in, I think that was when it really hit me to think, oh shit, this actually could be our night. And thank goodness it was. It obviously went a little bit longer than we needed to do, and obviously considering that goal in extra time was not ideal. But just before we get onto some specifics of the game, because obviously the boys did do a show the day after, and just talking about obviously their emotions, and it was very raw the day after. But in terms of what it means to you, Mark, what does winning a trophy mean to you?
I couldn't make that one because I literally could not speak. I'm pretty sure Lee was the same. We were a bit croaky in the morning. It's this weird feeling where I think we were talking about it in terms of like the Aussie rules teams that we support, and Lee's had the Brisbane win last year, and obviously I've had a few West Coast titles over the years, and it's like nothing comes close to this. It's just we've waited, and the anticipation and the tribal nature of football as a whole, I think, just means everyone was hanging out for this, and it's just to break the duck of actually getting through to the final again, getting that kind of hoodoo off our backs almost, where it was a totally different feeling going into this game than it was the Man United game 2 years ago, where it was all about the occasion. It was all about, like, we're pleased to be there, and this is great. Look at how far we've come. We're happy just to take part. And it almost felt like the occasion was bigger than the match itself or the result. This was still a huge occasion, but I think the players, the fans, everyone was more focused on, no, we need to do that this time. We need to turn up. And I think talking to most of the Newcastle fans before the game, everyone was literally saying the same thing. We just want to turn up. We just want to score a goal. We just want to make sure that we give a good account of ourselves in a cup final for once. Like, I've had 4 cup finals in my life where we've been beaten off Man United twice. We've been beaten off Arsenal, and it was like those 3. We haven't scored a goal. We got beat 2-0 in every single one of them. Like, come on, just turn up for once. Just give a good account of yourselves. And it's weird when you see people like Paul Scholes coming online going about how all the big managers just try and get knocked out of this cup. It's like, well, if that's the case, why is it that all of the big 6 are the only ones that have won this cup for God knows how long? And the fact is, we beat Nottingham Forest, we beat Chelsea, we beat Man United, we beat Man City, we beat Arsenal, and we've beaten Liverpool. to get to the final and to win the final. Like, I'm sorry, but we've beaten the current top 4, and we've beaten Brentford. No, it wasn't a Manchester squad. It was Brentford. I apologize.
Brentford,
but yeah, we've beaten Premier League opposition apart from one game that we had in this competition. We beat Arsenal. Everyone's put out their full strength squads. Nobody's fielded their kids. That shows you how much this competition means to everyone, because it's a trophy and it's European football. And given how tight everything is at the top now and how nothing's guaranteed anymore of that top 4 position, I think it's just it's very much sour grapes from some of the other commentary teams, and Paul Scholes was just being a proper bell end. And Tom, I'm sorry, but the banter argument does not suffice. He was just being a prick, and to me, it's still this feeling of disbelief, but at the same time, is this the dawn of bigger and better things?
Yeah, well, we can only hope, obviously, but yeah, on Scholes and all that, and a lot of those fans that have come out and said, "Oh yeah, it's tin pot. Who cares about the Carabao Cup?" I mean, that's probably why a club like Manchester United is where it is at the moment. They're still living off the past. They're an arrogant supporter base, and they assume they should be the top 2 every season, and this is probably where they've got to now, because they've suffered on that arrogance, and since Fergie left, they've really gone downhill. But we don't need to talk about them stuff then. But in terms of us, and I'll just talk about my feeling. Obviously, I'm not Newcastle born. I've got no connection to the Newcastle area, but for me, this means the world, because for a very long time I've been mocked, teased, laughed at. It's been a lot when a lot of your mates and a lot of the people you hang around go for your Liverpools or your Arsenals or Manures or whoever else they go for, and not many or any went for Newcastle when I was growing up, and we were just the perennial losers, really. And the fact that now we can call ourselves champions of something, doesn't matter what it is. I mean, we were the Intertoto Cup champions. Let's not forget about that. But this is that was tin pot. Yeah, that was tin pot. But this is legit, and the fact that we can call ourselves now champions, and it just gives you great pride. I mean, I've been wearing this same T-shirt for the last week since Monday morning last week, and probably due a wash now, but I just didn't want to take it off. Every time I left the house, I just thought, nah, I'm obviously I was always proud being a Newcastle fan, but now I can really wear it and say, look, we are champions now. We are a successful club, and hopefully you're right. It's bigger and better things for us going forward, and who knows what the rest of this season holds for us. But just want to touch on a couple of players and a couple of performances from the game that probably haven't really been mentioned by a lot of people. Everyone's just been basking in the glow. I want to talk about Kieran Trippier, because he obviously lost his spot in the starting 11 this season to Tino on the right, and there was a lot of talk probably for the last couple of transfer windows that he was going to get moved on, whether it was to Turkey or to Saudi Arabia or wherever the money was offering. But I think Bayern Munich as well wanted him at one point in Germany. But and even when he's come in this season, he never looked like himself, and never really looked like the old Trips. When he first came, he was an unbelievable signing for us, or has been an unbelievable signing for us. He was probably one of the few right backs that I've ever seen control games from a right back position. He was that good. And he obviously had to play at right back because Hall's out and Tino was playing left. But I just thought especially his first half, he just set the tone for the entire team. His calmness. A few times he was handing the ball back to Pope. He just looked confident, and he gave the rest of the back four and the rest of the team that belief that we weren't there just to make the numbers up this time. We were there to actually get the result. So what did you think of Trips' performance and how he led from the front?
I think he is, without a doubt, one of our best signings in the new era. He's the first one through the door. He started the ball rolling. And I know we've signed some absolutely amazing, epic players since he came in. But for him to kind of take that leap of faith to join and we were second bottom when he joined, and he's like, we looked for all the world like we were going to get relegated. He's come in, no relegation release clause or anything like that. He believed in the project. He signed up for the long haul. Yeah, he's had some blips along the way in terms of his form and his fitness, and but his leadership, both on and off the pitch, I don't think anyone can question. And I think the final was probably like the culmination of his time at the club, where he just oozed confidence on the ball. He oozed calmness. He basically rallied every single player around him, and I think it was quite telling for me, where I think Bruno's the official captain and he leads by being passionate about the club, and he clearly wanted to win. And I think his post-final whistle like reactions show you how much he was wanting to win that. But what surprised me was how much Trippier was almost pushing Bruno aside during the game and really being at the forefront with the ref, with the other players, with his own players, really just constantly in everyone's faces, just saying, look, no, we've got this, calm down, right, go at him, marshalling the troops. It was a captain's performance, whether he was captain or not, for the day. And I think he was absolutely outstanding for us. And as I said, just a culmination of his time at the club. And no matter what's happened in terms, and this is something that I think it annoys me, where players are getting criticized, no, we should sell them. Fans doing that need to understand that, players will go in and out of form. They will lose fitness if they've not been playing for a while. It will take them time to get back up and running. I think we're all well aware of the off-field issues that Trippier may or may not have had. No one's had any confirmation, but I think we all pretty much know what's happened. That cannot be easy to get through. But for him to put that performance in the final and to show that much leadership, and again, I will come back to this, where that was a captain's performance, whether or not he was captain of the day or not. And for him to hoist that trophy up with Bruno, and more importantly for me, with Lascelles, the three of them together, that was just the priceless moment for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we definitely, obviously looking back now and thinking about, I think I've been obviously thinking about a lot of the game, like everyone has, and I think Trippier was the perfect player that we needed in that game, because obviously Bruno, he's a sensational player. He's a superstar. He leads by example, but he can get a little bit too rolled up at times. And in these sort of occasions, you need to have a cool head. And Trips is exactly that. He's played in World Cup semi-finals. He's won titles. He's won trophies in Spain. He knows what it takes to win these games. And maybe 2 years ago, we didn't know what it took to win those games, and we were just too wound up, like all the fans were, and we just didn't know how to sort of deal with the on-field occasion, not the overall occasion itself. So, I'm forever grateful for Trips, for him being the first one to come across to us. Again, he came across from a title challenging team in Spain. It's not like he came from nowhere. So it was a huge thing for him to get that reward for his time at the club. And even if this is his last season and he moves on in the summer, he'll forever be in our thoughts, and he'll forever be I think, held up as a Newcastle champion, a Newcastle legend, and I think he will be sort of the beacon for me for the start of this new era, because he was the first signing, and he was a quality player who said, I'm going to start this off, and I'm going to sort of be the one to lead the way. And he led off the pitch, he's led on the pitch, and yeah, we're forever grateful, I think, for Trips. But another player I want to quickly touch on with you, Mark, is our big number 7 in the middle, Joelinton. I thought he was absolutely outstanding, and it was a typical Joelinton performance. He was physical, up and down the pitch, winning tackles, roaring to the crowd. I thought he was absolutely sensational. How did you see his control of that midfield and his performance on last week?
Sorry, I'm having some major sneezing issues. I was like, got drunk sneezes or something, and I haven't even had that too much. So, yeah, look, to me, I think Big Dan Burn won man of the match. I think Trippier was fantastic. I think Tino. Tino at left back for me was probably pushing for man of the match, but I think Joelinton was very, very hard done by. He ran his ass off. Just the passion, the pace, the power, everything we know that he will contribute. Yeah, he just did that. Nobody got any. There was one clip where he ran from his own half to kind of make a tackle, win the ball back, got fouled, passed the ball off, and he's just riling the crowd up as he goes off. It's just it's the sort of things that you just kind of like you just want like tattooed on your brain. It was just fantastic for what he did. He was just everywhere on that pitch, and it's something that I think we've maybe missed a little bit this season from him. Even though he's been obviously out for a little bit, but he's not been that same tenacious Joelinton for some of this season. And whether or not he's tried to kind of like calm himself down, maybe it's a fitness thing, maybe it's whatever, I don't know. But he hasn't been that that bug in the ear, the kind of like, you know, slapping everyone on their asses like that, I'm going to get you kind of thing. But he was back to his best for the final. He just did not let anybody settle. He won the ball back. He pressed everyone. He just had so much energy, and yeah, fair play to him. It was just a fantastic performance from him.
And what a story for him as well. I mean, no one's going to remember. And he came to the club as a striker. He came to us as a number 9, and all of a sudden he's turned into this absolute beast in the midfield. And we're obviously forever grateful for Eddie and whoever made the call to say, yep, Joelinton's not a striker, he's going to play central midfield, because
Kieran Clark.
Yeah, Kieran Clark. You know what? Yeah. I think Kieran Clark is the unsung hero of the of this regime, because who knows, if he never got sent off after 5 minutes or whatever it was against Norwich, we may not have seen Joelinton ever play in that role. But yeah, he was unbelievable. And I mean, how much does that when every time he won a tackle, he was roaring to the crowd. He was really fired up. And luckily for us, he didn't lose his head and get carded early and sort of put our midfield in danger. He was sensational, and he deserves the moment just as much as anyone else, because he's worked so hard to come from really a laughing stock and someone who we spent 40 million on as a striker who never looked like being a striker of any sort of quality, but he's turned to a bargain, being how good he is in the midfielder. And yeah, I wouldn't transfer him for the world. He's been a fantastic servant for the club, and hopefully he's with us for a long time to come.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah, go for it.
Bruce, by the way, unsung hero. He clearly paved the way for this win, according to his recent interviews. It's like, you know, he is the man. He set all the ball rolling. What an absolute joke that man is. But in reality, I think Joelinton being underperforming as he was under Steve Bruce, I think Steve Bruce being as shit as he was, I think probably gave Joelinton a lot more credit in the bank than a lot of other strikers would have had for 40 million. I think fans realize it's like, look, he's putting himself about, he's working hard, the passion's there. You know, it's clearly, let's just wait and see how he performs under a different manager, because clearly I'm not judging anyone's performance under this clown that's in charge at the moment. And rightly so, Eddie Howe's come in, made him into a Brazil international, even though apparently he got a bit slated the other night, but Bruno got suspended as well for an extra yellow card or what have you. But, you know, Brazil are nothing if not predictable in their over harsh evaluation of some of their players. But, you know, maybe he doesn't get the same out of the Brazil fans as what he does out of the Newcastle fans. And quite frankly, the Newcastle fans love him. He clearly thrives on that. He will put himself about for the club put himself about for the fans. And I think that's kind of what drives him on. It's like, and it's like you see the passion that Bruno, that Joelinton, that some of these players actually play with for the crowd, and what it meant to them at the final whistle, that they've finally delivered for the fans. And this is the thing, it's like some of it's like, it's not just about the players, it's like they've done it for the fans. They get the club. Eddie Howe gets the club. He understands the fans, and I think that's driven everybody. And you saw the outpouring of emotion. It was just fantastic to kind of get the players that feeling of like, yeah, you guys still do not understand how much you've meant to these fans and what you've actually done for this club, but you will.
Exactly right, mate. So just before we let you go, and obviously this has been a short, sharp. It's not even a reaction, just reminisce of how good Newcastle are and how good the cup final win was. But
decompressing a week of content.
Yeah, exactly right. What do you think the end of the season is going to look like for us? Do you think this is going to spur us on for a top 5 Champions League finish, or do you think this might completely cook us and we'll be reminiscing the highlights every week because we're not going to be any good for the rest of the season?
You know what? It could easily so go either way. I think what goes in our favor is we've actually got some relatively easy looking fixtures coming up that we realistically should be winning. And the game after the final happens to be a home game against Brentford. And I think if the home crowd cannot be up for a party atmosphere and drive the players on, and the players thrive off that, then just call the season now, because we're not gonna improve on what we have. Oh, if we win on the weekend it's a midweek game. Sorry, if we win that game against Brentford, I think we go automatically up into 4th place because other teams are playing in the cup. And getting into that top 4 position, I think maybe the players then go, hang on a bit, you know what? Like let's ride this wave. And we've said all along, Newcastle, if nothing else, are a momentum-based club.
Yeah.
And when we had our run of form, when we were trying to stay up, when we had our form going into the 4th place finish that we had to get us into the Champions League, the wave that we rode, and the fans and the players all as one, just moving forward. If we can capture that again, who knows? I think top 4 is definitely on. Maybe top 5's enough this season as well. There's plenty of competition. It's not going to be easy, but I'd like to think that starting against Brentford, celebration mode. Everyone's going to be up for it. Everyone's going to be in party mode, as long as the club don't completely botch up the celebrations, which they seem to be trying their best to do. But if they get everything together, the fans are going to be pulling in the same direction. The players are going to feed off that. Get 3 points against Brentford, and then who knows? I think that'll give everyone a bit more belief, and we can just ride that wave into the final days of the season.
Yeah, I think you're right. We definitely are a momentum team both ways. When we're struggling, we can't seem to get a result, and we seem to go on a bit of a barren run. But when we do get our backs up and sort of are in form, we can get a string of wins together. We won nine games in a row between December and January, I think it was, and we've had a big winning run last season, I think, of 5 or 6 games. So we can do it. I think the Brentford game is going to be enormous just to keep that momentum going. If our bubbles burst and when we lose at home, it may have an adverse effect on everything. But look, at the end of the day, we're still in Europe for next season, even though it's the Conference League, which again may be called a Tin Pot Cup, but we don't care. We'll be in that one to win it as well. But we're champions at the moment, so we're still going to be riding as a supporter base on that high, whatever happens for the rest of the season. And I think that's sort of money in the bank for us. It's hopefully the players can play a little bit more freer, and if we are playing freer and we do have the quality and our injuries stay away, I think we can definitely get that top 4, top 5 finish, which will be an unbelievable season, an unbelievable finish to this historic season for us. But that's all we have time for tonight. Thanks, Mike, for joining me on this.
That's been good.
On this week anniversary for a cup trophy. It's been a long week. It's been a wonderful week to soak in all the videos and all the content. Hopefully the club keep it coming and doesn't dry up now, because I'm sure we'll be seeking it out for many, many months and years to come. But thanks, Mike, for joining us, and there'll be another pod later in the week to preview the Brentford game. But until then, take care, everyone.
Excellent. Cheers, mate. Catch you.